Hey guys, so every day I get asked, what is the price of GoldPesa going to be in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? And every time I answer the same thing, that's a stupid question, and it really just depends on so many factors. But of course, as a quant team, we have to sit back and we have to analyze how our model is simulated so that we have at least an idea of how our smart contracts are going to handle GoldPesa once we are fully live on base. So I'm just going to go through the thought process and give you a bit of an idea of what happens behind the scenes at the GoldPesa office in an attempt to try and answer the question, what will the GoldPesa price be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? So first we're going to define the model. So when we look at GoldPesa, we've got a liquidity pool, GP USDC on Uniswap v4. So then you've got a user, so we'll call it the market. This is the market. And then what happens here is you've got the 1, 2, 3, and this thing here is the fund wallet, smart contract. This is GoldPesa mines. And this is Pawn smart contract. So the model is such where every time there is a transaction, whether it's a buy or a sell from the market, there is a 1% fee. And of that 1% fee, there is 0.25% that goes into the Pawn smart contract. There is a 0.25% which goes into the GoldPesa mines. And then there is a 0.5% fee which goes into the fund wallet. The fund wallet is GoldPesa's wallet, and that is a smart contract. So every time GoldPesa is bought, sold, or transferred, these are the fees that are distributed in real time. So with this model, if we just focus on the GPX or the main GoldPesa token, we can see that if we just open up a new window here, we go to the GoldPesa smart contracts, which is in core base. And if we open this up, we will be able to see that inside of our GPX diagram, we have a GPX smart contract, and we can see that this is hard coded with 100 million tokens hard cap. 1% fee on transfer, that's constant. You can see that it can never be changed. There's no owner function here, so it's ownerless. And when you look into this contract and you see that initially when the contract is first created, the entire fixed supply, which is 100 million, fixed supply, 100 million, is minted and sent to the GoldPesa liquidity protocol, which is the GoldPesa hooks contract. And we'll get into that in another video because that will get a bit complicated. And then you can see that there's simply a single function as an ERC20 token where 25% of the fee goes into the Pawn smart contract. The fee divided by 4, which is 25% of the fee, goes to the mines, and then the rest of the fee goes to the fund wallet. As soon as a transfer is done, this function is called, and this is how the fee is distributed. And this is hard-coded, and you can see there's no way that GoldPesa or anybody else can change this contract. So this will be hard-coded for life. What does this mean for everybody? It means that if you do enter the GoldPesa mine, you will earn a piece or 0.25% of the GoldPesa volume for life, forever, because we can never change it. And 0.5%, of course, will go into the fund wallet, and 0.25% goes into the Gold Pawn smart contract. So then we ask ourselves, okay, great, we have this model. Now, how do we simulate to determine what the price will be if we execute this and we make a few assumptions? So let's go into our Python code, which we are going to simulate. Right, and let's just remove the miners for a second, because that is a little bit different. So what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, we are going to create the Pawn smart contract, the fund wallet smart contract, and simulate it. We're going to create a fake USDC smart contract. Then we're going to create a pool manager, which is equivalent to Uniswap v4 pool manager, a mines contract. This is GLP. We call it GPX hooks because it is a Uniswap hook contract. And here we're saying that, okay, if 50% of every time there's a transaction, it's a buy order, and 50% of it, the time it's a sell order. So that's what this 50 means. If this is 20, that means 20% of the time it's a sell order, and 80% of the time it's a buy order. So for now, let's do a simulation of 50. Now, the first thing we're going to do is user A is defined as the market as a whole. So this is, if our GoldPesa holders are 1,000 people, user A represents the whole 1,000 people. And then GoldPesa mines, we're putting in a lot of money just to simulate this, to get an idea. So let's do the simulation over, let's say, 10 years. So we're taking 365 days, 24 hours, 10 years, and we are going to initially transfer a small amount of tokens into the market, because of course when you first fair launch GPX on base, there's no GPX bases that exist anywhere in the world. So the very first thing in the simulation is to simulate a buy order. In this case, user A, which is the market, is going to buy from Uniswap, and it's going to buy for an amount that is anywhere between $1 and $10,000, because the only first thing that's going to happen is a buy order, because there's no GPX to sell into the market. Then what we're doing is we're taking a random number between 1 and 100, and we're saying that if this random number is greater than mode, which is 50 in this case, then we're going to consider it a buy order. And if it's less than mode, we are going to consider it a sell order. This is a way of us being able to say that, okay, 50% of the time people are going to buy, 50% of the time they're going to sell. And we're making an assumption that the maximum that they're going to be able to buy is 1% of the total balance of Gold GPX inside of the GoldPesa smart contract, the GoldPesa liquidity pool, GPX USDC liquidity pool. And anytime they want to sell, we're going to assume, divided by 1,000, that at most they're going to sell, the market is going to sell 1% of the total amount of GPX that is in the market at any given time. And then we are finding some random number between 1 and the max, and then we're executing the swap, either a buy or a sell. So if we run this model just as a very simple model where users are buying and selling, and the one thing that we want to also check as well is in GPX, we want to see, in the hook contract, we're initially saying that out of 100 million total supply that exists inside of this hook, 100,000 tokens are going to be deployed on day one inside of Uniswap v4. So if we run that based on 100,000, we can just go like this, save that, and let's just run this simulation. You can see here it's live running, and all the fees are going. So what this tells us is that if we were to run this over 10 years, I believe it was 10 years, let's just double check. Yeah, 365 over 10 years, then the market cap based on this simulation is going to mean that our market cap is going to be $10 million, 10 to the power of 7, which is $10 million. Then we're going to see that the total amount of GPX that the market is going to hold is 60,000, and then it's going to slowly decrease with these assumptions. The total amount of dollars that the market holds, it's obviously decreasing because more dollars are entering the GoldPesa ecosystem, which means more dollars are leaving the market and turning into GPX. This shows how many dollars are going to be inside of the Pawn smart contract, which is $800,000. That is the amount that's going to be in the pawn smart contract. Then 50,000 GoldPesa tokens are going to be inside of the GoldPesa mine. 800,000 is going to be inside of the fund wallet. So that's GoldPesa's profit that we earn from GoldPesa, and that's how we run the business. And then we look at how much GoldPesa is sitting inside of the liquidity pool. So of course it starts off with 100,000 as we had assumed, and slowly decreases as the market starts buying GoldPesa tokens from the liquidity pool. Then we look at the US dollars that's inside of the liquidity pool. This is increasing, which is really good. That means we have $1.2 million inside of our Uniswap V4 liquidity pool after 10 years. That means there's $2.4 million TVL based on the simulation. And this is something we'll get into a little bit later, but this is part of our GoldPesa liquidity protocol where we use a demand-based release of supply. And what that means is that over time, we increase the range on Uniswap V4. And what this really means is as this is going up, more GPX tokens are being released into the market. So the higher this number, the higher the amount of GPX that's being released into the market. Bitcoin, for example, has a time-based release of supply, which means every 10 minutes, new GPX is released into the market. But in GoldPesa's case, we're doing a demand-based release of supply, which means that as we get demand and distribution, only then do we sort of trickle new supply into the market. And this effectively is our very unique and proprietary code, which we've developed just for GoldPesa. And this, we believe, is a more effective method of launching a token into the market in order to get the desired effective mass adoption that we're looking for. The upper tick stays at the tick max of Uniswap, which is equivalent to infinity if you look at it. And then you can see that slowly our hook contract, we started with 100 million tokens, and slowly it's releasing into the market, which means it's leaving our hook and getting lower and lower and lower because it is going into the market and leaving this contract. And then you can get a good idea of what the price would be in 10 years. So we started at $1. We can see that it quickly moves to about $5. And then as it gradually reaches market adoption, we see a $60, $70, $80 price given this very basic model over the next 10 years. And we are basically simulating this in terms of total hours. So you can see the number of hours and how many hours in a year, and hours in a year is equal to 10 years worth of hours. So this is the very base case. So if someone asks me, okay, where do you think GoldPesa is going to be in 10 years? If we just launched just like this, I would have to say if 50% of the buyers are buyers and 50% are sellers, we're going to be about a $70, $80 target in 10 years. Now, you look at the next case, which is what if this was 40? And that means that 40% of the time people are selling and 60% of the time people are buying. So we run that same simulation again. We'll quickly go a bit faster because you now know what they all mean. So we can see our market cap now reaches $12 million with the same simulations, same kind of thing, more money in the mines, more money in the fund wallet. And ultimately what everyone cares about is what is the price. So in this simulation, we can see that the price would have been a little bit higher. We've hit even $100 in 10 years, around 70, 80, but you can see it's a little bit skewed to the upside. Lots of volatility, which, you know, that's the crypto world we live in. And so volatility is good, of course, because it gives you more opportunities to make money. If something is just going up, then you have no chance to earn, and new buyers entering the market are not excited by it because it's just not volatile. Volatility is your friend. Anybody in the trading world knows that if there's no volatility, there's no opportunity to make money. So let's go to an extreme example of this and say, let's say everyone loves GoldPesa, doesn't want to sell, and most people are buying, which means 80% of the people in this case. And we run the same test again. Now you can see if we have 80% of the people are buying, our market cap is now $35 million versus $12 million with the exact same parameters, you know. And that's a huge difference just by having more people buying. Of course, relatively the same, of course, different degrees, but, you know, more money in the pond naturally, more money in the mines, more money in the fund wallet because we are increasing in price. And you can see that we are releasing more and more GPX into the market. And if you look at the price now over 10 years, if we have 80% of the time people are buying and 20% they're selling, we now hit $200 price in 10 years. And of course, volatility gets higher because there's more people taking profit when you go from 100 to 200. We're assuming that a lot of people are going to be selling as well to capture that profit, which creates a huge amount of volatility. But overall, you could see that if you started off at $1 price, we're quickly seeing $50. And then over 10 years, we see a lot of volatility. Like any S curve, everything goes up very quickly in the beginning. But generally, the trend is to the upside, just with a very basic fair launched GPX token, starting with 100,000 tokens inside of Uniswap V4 and very kind of basic assumptions in the model. So when we look at this now and we say, okay, as a team with GoldPesa, our objective is to create a model that creates mass adoption so that ultimately we reach a point of strong stability, but also, steady and good returns. Volatility is of course good for us because we make a lot of fees. So that's fantastic. And then if we make more fees, then we can push our marketing and grow the project faster for everybody else. And as a fair launch, if we want to own any tokens as the team, we have to buy them as well. And that's really, really important. So even Hero over here has to buy them as well.
This is obviously day 500 of me asking him what is the price of GPX going to be. So this is a simulation, and then obviously let's ask some more questions. So Shamik, this is obviously a basic base case scenario, right? So what you're saying is this can be exponentially faster if more people buy, right? So instead of 10 years, this could be a 3-year, a 4-year, depends on how much money is coming in, how many people are interested in GoldPesa, correct?
Yeah, so let's move on to sort of the next thing and I'll answer that question. So this was, if you look at this chart, this is basically so far every meme coin that's out there, because we have not assumed that the pawn is injecting any dollars from its market making. We're not assuming that the GoldPesa mines is operating. If you remember here, we have 3 different main features, which is in the GoldPesa ecosystem. The fund wallet, of course, you've seen, but we haven't assumed what's happening in the pawn and what's happening in the mines, which is a very unique aspect to GoldPesa that doesn't exist in any other ecosystem.